Colin says, have profile picture projects peaked? What's the next large-scale NFT trend?
We've sort of already touched on this a little bit. I don't think they've peaked. I think that they're just always going to be, it's something that, I mean, even, we go back almost a year and like people were saying after the, there were 10 projects after the Bored Apes. All right, that's it. They've peaked. What's the next
I remember
phase?
thinking that at Bulls on the Block, and that was like, late June.
Yeah, so crazy. I always remember my famous Cool Cats team DMs me, and I'm like, I don't know. I think the market's a bit saturated now.
It's like the third cat project, guys.
Yeah. We got Garter Cats, Moon Cats, and now another cat. No, we can't support that
Crypto
many
Kitties,
projects.
The OG.
Crypto Kitties, yeah.
I do. Yeah, like we touched on earlier, I kind of think it might just always be the biggest category of NFTs, but I could see as a percentage it becoming less, but I don't know what it's going to be replaced with because of all the other stuff that might replace it. I feel like, specifically Metaverse Land is one where I think prices have gotten out of hand in general for how usable and numerous they are. So I don't necessarily foresee them gaining much ground on profile picture projects. I guess I could see art, just pure art NFTs growing as a percentage of the overall NFT marketplace a little bit. But I think that's always going to be a minority in the sense that, maybe it'll grow from 4 to 9 now or whatever like that in a way that's not really threatening to profile picture projects' dominance. But I still have a sense that more other stuff could gain on them. But I think maybe it'll be stuff that I can't even really foresee. I mean, again, gaming is obviously another big sector. And I think as the games start to actually come out, perhaps they'll really take off and take some of the shine off of profile pictures.
Yeah, I think gaming assets will really eventually be, I don't know if as big as PFPs, maybe bigger, but certainly as a percentage, they'll go up. And I think wearables and like metaverse fashion and stuff, because then it's like currently it's a tiny fraction of the market because you can't really use your wearables. It's like, all right, I got a PFP, that's my identity. But when we're running around in Sandbox, for instance, and then all of a sudden you have a PFP, but now you can just like put on a new skin, dress it up, have a certain gun, a weapon, a backpack, all that kind of stuff.
One of those Bored Ape Yacht Club shotguns you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. When that happens, I think they will capture more and more of the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, wearables. That's a good example of one where the current percentage has got to be under 1%. So if it really catches on to any degree, that'll have a lot of room to grow for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas, and again, back to the profile pictures, we've talked about this before, and I think this is something that I probably talk about quite a bit more than you, but it just seems like the amount of them right now is so high relative to the amount of people that buy into the concept of identifying yourself with one of them. So it seems like, we can have another 200,000 people onboarded to NFTs, which I believe will take some amount of time that's, not super short. We can have them onboarded and all the people existing already have plenty of profile picture projects to just dump on them.
Yeah.
And we're still having new projects come out every single day, adding on to that supply. So
it's so crazy. But like, again, we thought this in June last year.
Yeah.
And then it kept going. And then it crashed in like September, October. And we were like, okay, we knew it was coming. It was going to crash. And then January came around and things went even crazier and hit newer highs. And then now we're coming down.
The speed with which NFTs are mainstreaming too, I think, is faster than I anticipated. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but the amount that the public at large has become aware of them, that happened faster. And the amount and speed with which they're becoming not only aware, but not inherently hating them or being very skeptical of them is also happening faster than I imagined by, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we've talked about how time is weird as a thing we like to say, but we've only been here for a year.
A year. It's so crazy.
And if you think about the difference in how much the general public knows about them and how dismissive they used to be of them, and all of that has happened in a lot less than a year, I don't know. To me, it feels like that is happening faster than I expected.
Yeah, same. It's good to see. I think it comes down to, again, just like the relatability, or like the different areas of life that people can find that interest them in NFTs. Again, gaming and gamers can find something like artists and creators, musicians, photographers. So many different people find something that they can enjoy in the NFT space, where prior to this with crypto, it was basically just finance and tech people.
Right.
Yeah,
and
apparently people...
Sorry, I was just going to say, you still with them have that lure that you could make money on it, which
yeah.
So that was sort of the only thing maybe with crypto coins, because it was like, I don't know how many of the people that were just jumping onto the crypto bandwagon were like really caring about the tokenomics or whatever solution this particular ERC20 purported to be solving. Whereas, the actual use cases for a lot of these NFTs are more attractive to people, but you still have that possibility of making a little money on them.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of people used to say they thought DeFi was going to be what made crypto go mainstream.
What?
And it just clearly never happened. I mean,
yeah.
Even now, so many people who are into NFTs barely know what DeFi is or means.
Us, for instance, it's in our theme song, and we never freaking talk about it.
Yeah.
It is funny because at the time you might have thought, well, like, why not DeFi, right? That's what crypto is, right? We're decentralizing money, and now what do you layer on top of money? A whole financial system, right? And we'll decentralize that. But this whole fun cultural thing of NFTs, it just wasn't really a thing, except for a very small, I guess all the people that are OG in NFTs enough to actually have been around in 2017 aren't listening to us. So I don't need to worry about telling them. I'm aware that a couple of you guys existed or whatever, but it was like tiny.
Yeah.
And it's certainly something that I think has started to and will continue to mainstream people into crypto so much more effectively.
Yeah. And it's just not slowing down, which is crazy and great. Yeah.
I was just listening to us the other day, and somebody had asked me about me acquiring that Damien Hirst currency, and I had talked about how on Twitter I talked to multiple people after I tweeted that I got it, that had gotten into NFTs accidentally because they were just traditional art fans, and they heard about this Damien Hirst and they got it. And they were totally sure that they were going to be converting it into the physical.
Right, yeah.
Of course I want a physical Damien Hirst. I don't want this nonsense NFT thing, and have just totally bought in to what NFTs can be, are going to be, all that stuff. And, that's the main thing. Now, you say sort of a similar thing about how gamers can find it. I don't personally see that gamers have gotten into NFTs because of gaming NFTs. Certainly it's possible it's happened, and I think more so it will happen. But definitely in the long run, there's just so many use cases that will be able to onboard so many different people to NFTs for totally different reasons. And then it'll just expose them to the wider concept of NFTs and how they can do these sort of interesting different things that they didn't think maybe that they were interested in or know about. Do you actually have maybe examples of people you've talked to that have gotten into NFTs purely through gaming? Or
no, actually, I think, it's more of it will happen. Like,
Yeah.
I believe that it will. It's sort of, there's definitely a lot of opposition from the gaming community and from gamers about NFTs. And it's not, it's very reasonable for them to have that sort of skepticism because of how sort of the direction the gaming industry has been moving over the last 10, 15 years. It used to be, all right, you pay $50, you get a full game, it's finished, it's great, you can play it for 100 hours, wonderful, and then you can sell the game to a friend or whatever, even lend it to a friend. Now it's like, all right, you pay $80, pre-sale, like, we'll ship a game that barely works, it's full of bugs, and then every month you're gonna have to pay an $8 subscription fee, and then there's DLC, and then there's in-game items which you can buy and you don't own, and there's loot boxes, and there's the gaming industry has just been, let alone like casual gaming with microtransactions, and like the gaming industry has just been fleecing consumers basically, and making the gaming experience worse. And so from our perspective, we can see how NFTs can make that better. But if someone doesn't really understand NFTs, they think, oh, this is just another way the gaming industry is going to take our money.
Yeah. I think also the people that are sort of that thinking, the only times they hear about NFTs is they're hearing about CryptoPunks or Bored Apes or maybe a Fidenza or something. And they're hearing these enormous numbers, and they're going like, you know, we as NFT proponents are going, well, wouldn't you like to own your in-game assets rather than just sort of rent them from the company? And now they hear these prices and they're going like, I don't want to pay $30 to rent it from them, but I definitely don't want to pay $220,000 to own it from them, and thinking they're just going to be totally priced out of this. And like, you know, pay to win is sort of an expression that you hear a lot in gaming nowadays, because of the way they kind of go, you know, you can grind for 80 hours or give us $4. I think when they think about that concept and then they hear these NFT prices, it only seems like it's going to make things way worse for them. Rather than potentially quite a bit better. Like, you know, us NFT proponents are sort of hopeful that it will.
Yeah. And they're probably also hearing a lot of just the general negative bad press about how NFTs are bad for the environment, about how NFTs, like people are getting scammed left, right, and center. And there's all this kind of stuff that makes mainstream news way more than like the dozens or hundreds of projects that have been building real cool, interesting games.